So your icons on the right, so you see share, heart, message, and the button, the circles, those are actually all Android icons, and the top right is an Android icon, right? So you can actually find overflow menu for iOS is actually horizontal. The share icon for iOS is like, it's like a rectangle with like an arrow out. You can just search this up. The reason why we always want to make sure we're using iOS specific icons versus Android is because
hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for watching another one of our Studio.init app teardowns. My name is Henry Kirk, and I'm joined by my two partners, Sven and Max. And today we are going to be walking you through this app called INMO. And I'll let the founders introduce themselves in a second, and then we'll dive in. But actually, why don't we just go do that, and we'll get started. So, Blake, why don't you introduce yourself real quickly, and then we'll go on to Adelaide and Michelle.
Yeah, I'm Blake Patterson. I'm the founder, co-founder, and CEO of INMO. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I've been involved with a multitude of startups and ventures for really about the past 10 years. And so this is our newest venture that we are getting to the social media platforms, and really feel like we've got a greenfield opportunity to create something that is very exciting for the market and something they've never really seen before.
Awesome. I'm Adelaide. I'm a co-founder as well as head of branding, marketing here at INMO, and super excited to be part of this project. I'm also really into like crypto Web3 projects, so this is super exciting. And at my agency, we also work with influencers, content creators, all of that. So this is really exciting for me. And Michelle works with me.
So hi, I'm Michelle. I'm head of content and brand partnerships for INMO. So I do like the influencer part and like the campus ambassador program, as well as like kind of planning out day-to-day content for INMO. So yeah, very excited.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. All right, Sven, do you want to kick things off?
Yeah, I'd love to. Great. Thanks for the introduction, guys. So before we get started, we always kind of like to ground ourselves into what we're testing, because oftentimes some of the products aren't, targeted towards us. So it's nice to know the people that you're trying to solve for and their problems. So I'd love to ask, with your app, who's your target audience, and kind of walk us through what you envision them to do with the app, maybe some core problems that they have and some tasks you wish they can accomplish with your solution.
Yeah, I would say our core audience is probably the age demographic of kind of the 18 to 35, somewhere in there. That being said, we are learning very quickly that it's not just that demographic that is seeing kind of the light. I think also the demographic or the population that we see as an opportunity is really anybody. And the reason why I say that is because most people, they get frustrated when it comes to social media. What we see, that you get a dopamine effect when people get on and they scroll, whether it be on something like Meta, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. But you see people constantly trying to figure out a way to monetize their brand and make money. But it's something that the algorithms change quite a bit. And so when we look at INMO, we wanted to create kind of a level playing field where the algorithms don't really dictate how good or how successful your post is. The market dictates that. So what we've seen is whether it's somebody that's 18 years old or somebody that's 70 years old, they get the opportunity to really put their 2 cents in of saying how good your post is. And based off of that, we've got a scoreboard that we have patented that gives you the ability to see how well people do on a daily basis. So, in the very beginning, we've got a kind of as a kickoff strategy. We have challenges that we set forth every week for our users to put content out there. So whether you're the consumer or you're the creator, your voice really matters.
Awesome. Thanks for that.
Maybe it makes sense to let's maybe go through the App Store page, right, and look through the preview screens and kind of think through if you were a user, like, would you come in and understand what to do here, right? So right away you're leading with creation, leading, and the fact that it's decentralized, right? Like blockchain. Sven, I guess what do you think about these as like the screens for an app store listing?
So in my opinion, your second screen is really strong. The first screen isn't communicating very much. You have to keep in mind when someone's looking at your app store, it has to be really quick hits of like what the purpose of the app is. So I would just lead with like, your second screen is pretty strong. It shows the app and it also talks about what you can do. So always trying to lead with a value of what your app is trying to propose. One thing that I will say, just for Apple standards, is when there's text within like the app, how you have create like multiple times, they generally want app stores to be as simple as possible. So you can color block, you can like showcase the UI, but the UI is kind of the champion, right? So they really want you to not distract from the UI. That's just like good Apple hygiene practice. So I would just advise to try to simplify some of the text that you have going on, especially in the fourth image, and just get to the value prop as much as possible. You do have really great visuals, and as long as you can lead with the value prop and just lean into that UI, it'll be really great. And then you don't have to worry about translation, right? Like localization and different languages as much.
Yeah, what is the value proposition of a decentralized, the fact that it's built with blockchain? What is that? What's the advantage to the user for that?
Yeah, the idea is that we're going to have more regulation on our app, and we're trying to really get to a place where the user has control over their content. And building with Polygon on Polygon, we're able to have every single video essentially be its own NFT, to where it's all regulated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think something to think about, right, in terms of like your target users is, are they people who are already familiar with blockchain? Are they anyone, right? Like, or it can also be a hybrid where like maybe your early adopters should be blockchain people, then you want to expand to everyone else eventually. The way people understand decentralized is different, right? Especially if you're talking about like mainstream people. So there might be something like a different word there that would resonate more than decentralized. If it's about owning your content, right? Like something about owning your content would mean something to them a lot more here. If it's about payments, right? Then mentioning the payments could be here, right? So overall, I guess like if it's supposed to be for the user group that we were talking about originally, like there's probably like a better way to do it than just saying decentralized, right?
Well, and it's funny you say that because we kind of really in the past few weeks have kind of gone through an inflection point of something like that. I'd say a majority of people don't know what decentralized is. And so, one of the things that we wanted to put out there was just post, place, win. Like it's, hey, you got to explain it where a fourth grader can understand it. It's got to be quick. I always joke around that we live in a world of goldfish. You've got so much coming at you day in and day out from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. You've got to have something that gets people's attention very quickly. Because we were saying in the very beginning, this is an app for creators. And while, yes, this is an app for creators, people also have to be understanding and sold to an extent of why is this app going to better me than what I was a few minutes beforehand before I got on here. And so that's kind of where we've been like post, place, win. But at the same time, you want it to be kind of that shiny brand that gets people's attention as well. So it's got to be something that's really that fine line of that people understand what it is and what it can do for them, all the while it doesn't look like, something that a fourth grader actually made.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That makes sense.
Sure. Cool. All right. We're ready to head into the app now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Are you following me? Oh, no, that's me. I was playing around with your app, so that's me. I posted it. Yeah, that's me. Wait, so you didn't follow me? Henry, you didn't follow me? So it's just showing. Okay.
No. I just literally just opened up the app. Oh, this is yours. You just made this?
That's me. I literally posted it like 10 minutes ago. I was like, I'm going to play around with this app. So I've been posting.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's super cool. All right. Well, that was a pleasant surprise.
It's a good video.
Great.
Thanks.
So So I think that the interesting question here is, right, like, does this app need onboarding? This is actually like the opposite question that we have in a lot of these other app teardowns. Like, a lot of times people over-explain the app and have way too much stuff. In this app, like, you just kind of come in and we're not really explaining anything, which I think is actually a good place to start. But the question is, does the user get enough context just from landing here, or are there a few places here where like a little bit of explanation will get them to convert better, right? You land, you see a piece of content. You don't necessarily know here like what the purpose of the app is, especially if you didn't go extensively through the App Store. You don't know that it's about creation or owning your own content or payments or any of that stuff, right? So, yeah, that's something that maybe they'll explore as
I want to start tapping around on here. So I noticed that I can swipe up and down to other videos in here. This is a pretty cool one. And then what would I want to do? I don't know. I guess I'll tap on the reward button. It brings me to this EULA here.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of the EULA being in the app like this?
Have you gone through the onboarding of making a profile yet?
No, I literally just installed the app.
Okay. So then that's going to take you through signing up to create a profile, because you have to have a profile before you can reward someone.
Oh, okay. So I should tap agree here?
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you get a web frame with sign in.
Okay. All right. I'll keep going here. Just a little bit of early feedback on the EULA. There should be a portion, like there's a space in the App Store for you to put all of that in there. So it was a little jarring to see the terms and conditions. Like, I'm sure most people will just tap agree and continue, but if they tap disagree, the only thing they could do on the app is just experience the content, right? It sounds like they can't do anything. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you might want to just, we'll keep going through the flow, but you're already adding a friction point by forcing the user to read through all of those terms. And it is long, and usually they're stuck in the App Store description where you tap on terms of service, or like, because I can't continue without doing anything in here. So I'll just go and sign in really quickly.
Yeah, and I guess also in regards to the onboarding, right? Like when Henry clicked on it, he didn't know why he was clicking on it necessarily. He's just exploring, right? And then you just see a big legal form. That can be a turnoff because you don't know what the carrot is on the other end. So like that can get you a lot of times to just be like, I don't know what this is a long form. I have no time to read it. I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that could be a friction point. I don't know how long you've been in the App Store yet.
One of the reasons why I have that is because we put the wallet on there and it's just got the cryptocurrency in there. And so our counsel, well, obviously, as you could imagine, make sure that every nook and cranny and I and T is dotted and crossed, was wanting us to put that in there just because when you like it, there is actually, dollars changing hands there.
Yeah.
So maybe you can look into doing that more contextual than it is right when the person's first trying to experience the app. So maybe you do that when you go to earn, or maybe to turn on earning. I don't know. We'll go a little bit further, but you are like, I had no idea what it was for, and it's jarring, and I got to go through here and.
Yeah, I guess to elaborate on what Henry is saying.
I got to keep going through. Yeah.
What I kind of see is like, and this is just my hypothesis. Like a user would go through three phases. One is as a consumer, they come in, they see videos, right? Then creator is like the next step up. And then, the payments, I feel like it's like in order to get your wallet in there and really, first you have to like be committed to being a creator and be committed to using this app. So it's like not something that like you necessarily have to put in front of the user on like the first visit, right? Like you get them to see all the other features, and then when it comes time to the wallet, maybe that's where some of that stuff is introduced.
Yeah, so now I can tap on other things in here. I can go see this person's profile. We'll go back to it. I
So
can tap on
I'll
the money
jump in
here.
here, and
Okay.
I'm going to talk about two things. So
Okay.
that is obvious on the design side. First, I will say one good thing that I noticed is that you didn't prompt me for notifications right away. So what we noticed is like a lot of apps, when you log in, they just like start prompting you for like a whole bunch of permissions. I don't know if you caught that, but before Henry, he signed up for an account. After he was successful in signing up for an account, you guys prompted for notifications. So that is like really good practice. So we always want to do that. That's like an example of good contextual prompts. Okay, so now let's talk about on the design side, what I'm seeing. Okay, so your icons on the right, so you see share, heart, message, and the button, the circles. Those are actually all Android icons, and the top right is an Android icon. The reason why we do not want to use Android icons, there's Android icons and there's iOS specific icons, right? So you can actually find overflow menu for iOS is actually horizontal. The share icon for iOS is like a rectangle with like an arrow out. You can just search this up on Apple. But the reason why we always want to make sure we're using iOS specific icons versus Android is because iOS promotes iOS apps. So if you have an iOS app that looks like an Android, Apple is not going to promote you guys. You guys want to really make sure it's as close to its family as much as possible, right? And also, like, people who use iOS are more accustomed to the visual language of an iOS app. So, if I probably wouldn't know what that overflow button does because it's like vertical, but like on iOS, it's horizontal. So we just want to make sure we're using the same patterns on iOS for our iOS users and having the Android for Android users.
Yeah, we actually,
Really good to know.
yeah, we all worked at Google at one point, and a study that I did there was around how much are Android users familiar with iOS icons and iOS user familiar with Android icons. And it was only like around 60%, right? So you might have up to 40% of your users not registering what that means right away. I mean, you do have the text below it where it says something like share, right? But that requires like an extra moment of kind of thinking, right? And a lot of times if it's just like not like intuitive, people like don't take the action. So yeah, I think it also influences how users interact with it in addition to how Apple will engage with this app.
Cool. All right. What button should I tap on next, guys?
So I had something around the leaderboard. Let's click on the
Which one's that?
trophy icon.
The trophy. All right. Okay.
So you have a leaderboard there, right? And it looks like there's a current leaderboard, and then there's a previous top 10. And then this is this updated like daily or every?
So right now we're doing a weekly challenge. The challenge literally just ended like 45 minutes ago.
Nice.
And so you can see the guy, I think it's Bo Mullins, who won, which props to him. He won off basically just a Pan Am of pumpkins. But
he's got cute kids in it. That's always going to win.
Yeah, so I mean, he's actually won the last 3 out of 4 weeks, so he's won almost $4,000.
Wow.
But yeah,
guys, we got on a side note. We got to get in this app.
Try this app.
Yeah.
So that being said, what we first started out with the scoreboard, because what we've learned from a lot of people that get on, social media is there are a ton of people that get on that just scroll. There aren't a ton of content creators, but for the ones that are the content creators, the influencers, there's this perception that a lot of them make a ton of money, and the reality is they don't. There are a few, don't get me wrong, that make a lot of money, but for the most part, we've had people that have been on here that have won, and they say, well, hey, for every thousands or 10,000 downloads I have on one of these other platforms, I make so-and-so for it. And it's pretty jaw-dropping and eye-opening to hear when the perception is that they make tons and tons of money. But you've got, at the same time, because of that stigma that exists, you've got people all throughout planet Earth that want to try and be that person. So what we did is kind of take almost like an American Idol / DraftKings mentality and saying, all right, You're putting your post out there, people are voting on it, and based off the votes is where you end on the scoreboard. But kind of going back to the DraftKings mentality is instead of just first place getting money, first through 10th gets money. So it's more attainable for people out there. And so this is really, once again, is just kind of the kickoff version. We want to have multiple versions where you get on, you look at the interface, and there are like 6 or 7 different challenges that you can go to. One that's more of your hobby, you can click on, and that's something you can get into.
How do I vote and to do that? So I see there's Geronimo's post for top INMOs. It looks like it's a countdown to the next. I guess.
Like if you can click on like right there in the middle, you can go look at theirs, or if you just go back to the main page and scroll, there's a heart button right there, which is the vote button.
Oh, so the heart is the vote. So when you said that the guy Bo, he got 98 hearts on here, and so that's what got him first place. Okay.
Yep.
I see. So if I tapped on this now, I see. Okay.
So, I mean, you mentioned that like people have gotten money here, like $4,000, right, for winning. There's, when I look at the interface, like there's no hint of that, right? Like if I'm a new user and I'm like, there's some contests here, right? Like it's not obvious that people are making money. So I do wonder about that, whether there's like an opportunity there to be like more explicit about what's going on.
Yeah, so what's the reward button do then? Is that my rewards? Is that what this is in here? When I tap on the reward button, it shows my wallet, my INMO wallet. So is that what's the purpose of the reward button on this main screen here?
So that literally just got implemented, like literally within the past 24, 48 hours.
Okay.
What is that is we will start once people sign up and get their wallet, we will give you coins, essentially your tokens, however you want to phrase it, and you can reward people for good content.
Okay.
So it's a community of motivation, I guess you could say, where people are here not to necessarily tear people down, but here to build them up. But as we continue to evolve that out, because this is just version 1, where we want to have is where now people are, because the way that we've been paying people in the very beginning was just through a multitude of different facets. Now we can obviously come in here with the token and go directly to your wallet. But we have a pot essentially that we've got each week. And so the more people that join, or essentially more tokens that go in there, and the bigger it gets, the more people have the ability to win.
Okay.
Can I'm very familiar with this product. I've worked at Coinbase before, so I'm very familiar with your whole crypto paying creators. I understand why you're choosing crypto, because it's a less transaction fee, it's more global, yada, yada, yada. And like that next, I get it. My question to you would be, one of the challenges, I guess, as you continue to scale, how are you, like right now it's in USDC, which is a USD stablecoin. Are you dealing with international markets? Like if I was in India and I wanted to get paid in, a different currency, are you supporting that? Or is it just going to be for now North America?
Right now, so we do have people obviously in South Africa that are using this, but right now it's just the USDC. We are in the process of creating our own on the blockchain as well. That should be done in about 2 months. That would address obviously that.
And are you holding, I noticed that it was a wallet that was when I signed up, it was a wallet that was temporary and it wasn't like my wallet at all. Is that you just created a temporary wallet on your server? So it's not like my personal wallet, but like a personal wallet on INMO. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very confused what I'm supposed to do here with this app. When I'm looking at it, like some of the stuff is making sense as you're explaining it, and like I don't know, like Max Sven, like I don't know if there should be like some sort of onboarding, maybe.
Yeah.
The first video that they see is like an explainer or something like that. What do you think, Max?
Yeah, so I mean that's what I was getting to in the beginning, right? And I think it's good that we kind of went through it and all the different features. And now we should go back to the onboard. So you land on the app, and there's really no explanation of anything, but there is a very multi-step process that users have to go through, right? Like you have videos, and that's intuitive for people. They have TikTok, they've seen other things like this, YouTube Shorts, right? Videos is intuitive. You need to know what a video is. But like they also need to understand that you have to vote on these things, and that's how people win, right? Like there's a heart icon. It's not necessarily intuitive that that's what it does. Maybe they need to understand, maybe they don't, right? Then they need to discover that there's a leaderboard, and then they need to understand that this leaderboard is not just for fun and how it works also, but that there's money potentially involved, and then they need to understand things about crypto, right? So you kind of need to think about there's a lot to learn, right? What is the first thing you want them to understand? What is something that they can learn on their second visit or their third visit, right? And what should they be doing initially? I think, right, it sounds like maybe the first thing you want them to do is just enjoy some videos potentially. But some challenge you might have in the beginning, right, is like getting enough users so there's a bunch of content in here so that like people are enjoying the videos for their own sake, right? So that to like really like needing to get some creators in there so that there can be a bunch of consumers in there. And so for the creators, I think it's super important to be real. Like you've given away money, and there's nothing in this app right now that like messages that this is an app where you can like really earn money, right? Like you discover the wallet, and it's kind of like implied, but it's not really clear what happens if you win a contest, right? So I think working around the creator, what we call like a critical user journey, the path that someone takes through an app, like really understanding like, okay, you're a creator, you're coming in here. What are the step-by-step things you have to understand in order to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to create content on this specific app. And then putting that into the UI, like some kind of messages to kind of lead them along.
Yeah, exactly.
And exactly, would you go ahead?
No, sorry. Wait, please.
No, I was just saying, you mentioned it a little bit beforehand, but you think that should be the first video that like pops up every single time? Or is there somewhere else you said that you think that it should be? Because I think that's a great idea. And that's something that we've kind of gone back and forth on because when people understand what we're doing, they love the idea. It's just, we got to get them to that point.
Yep. I mean, I think that's a good, like, I think that's what you were just saying in terms of like maybe make the first video that when you land on the app, it's a tutorial video. It's like, this is what this app is. This is how it works. And like do it in a very short amount of time. Like that could be a good way to do it. I think it's important to highlight, like the content is always like first, right? But like it's important to highlight how this is different than everything else. Because even like the UI paradigm, the content type, like there's other apps that do this, right? Like the YouTube Shorts and all that. I think right away, like within 3 seconds, people need to understand how this is different than all of that stuff. Even though visually, right, like on this particular screen, it might look like the same as all these things. And leading with that most important factor, which might be like, the competitions or the fact that you own your content or one of those things.
Yeah. So one way that you might, I'll just talk about like some ways to implement some of the education that you might want to consider, and Sven and Max, please jump in if you have other ideas. But what, the one thing that is always very, users will always click through is if you jump through like the dimmed out screen with the like, hey, this is where you tap this is where you tap that, it's next. No one uses that. So I think it was Max or Sven said earlier that a lot of people are just going to like start scrolling through, and you probably don't want to bombard them with things, but you should pick the actions that you want to educate them on first. And so maybe what would work is if I was just entered the this app here and I'm like on the first video, maybe that you want them to like the videos is the first journey that you want them to do, to get them to know that they need to like vote. And so you maybe have like a little pop out that says, hey, like, vote on the videos that you like. And then maybe if I scroll away a couple times, then the next one comes up like, hey, did you want to reward them with, some coin in this? And do it a couple times because you want to teach them over time. They're going to play with this a little bit, but you don't want to uneducate them to the point where they end up just bailing on the app because they can't figure it out. Because obviously like there's value in them creating the content and using it and staying and then becoming part of the community, but you just want to ease them into the education and you want to pick the things that are important. Like you don't want to force them to post something right away because they don't know what it's for. But then as they, you want to highlight the fact that you're going to have to build them into that, right? But there can be just small actions that you take to help them.
Yeah, and you definitely want to do all that before, so like that big legal form, right? Like as much as you can teach them without forcing them to sign in, without forcing them to like make decisions that might be big, right? Creating wallets.
You want them to want to sign that form.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the number one thing, because that form is a big blocker. I mean, it's necessary. Every app of this kind has to do that. But this is where you lose a lot of people, because it's like, oh, what am I really signing up to? What's like, people get nervous about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I would I would seriously talk to your attorney about just having it part of the App Store download that, because that's how majority of apps do it. I don't even think there's any Google apps that has any legal language when you onboard at all. You guys know of any? I don't think there's any. And we have a lot of, right? There's nothing that says, hey, read this legal agreement before you continue that I know of. Was Coinbase like this at all when you were working on their app, Sven? Did they have any in-app like legal
It's usually like onboarding before you get an app, right? Because you have to KYC because people have to know with like taxes. So it's usually before you get to the app.
Yeah, but that's a bit different, right? Because like in Coinbase and other things like that, like it's literally like you're going there to do financial things. Here you're coming for the social media content, and then like sticking around, right, for some of this financial features, right? So it's like a hybrid here, which gives.
So maybe it does it only when I tap on the reward here, perhaps. But maybe there's an explainer before you enter into it why, instead of just gating me there. So I noticed that every button I tap on had the EULA on there. Won't let me do anything. So maybe you gate it to just certain actions that require that, but you don't force me to sign in. Because like you can always like heart stuff before signing in. You don't necessarily need to like sign that person in. You can like lock it to the device perhaps. Like you have to pick that right moment when to push them in the sign in, maybe after like, oh, this is cool. And then you can, it's very important to like try to push the user through these very high friction journeys when it's really important, because otherwise you will have drop off and then you won't be able to get them back. So once you lose the user, like it's very hard to re-engage them. So make it as easy as possible for them to get used to the app and then start asking them to do things for you that are high friction. So this is a good segue into, let's talk about like actionable items that I think that could help, right? Because I think as prescriptive as we can be, one of your differentiating things is rewarding creators with crypto. And the idea is you need to get people to start paying each other or paying creators, right? That's how you can get good quality content. And what I notice is the friction point is setting up your wallet. So when you reward somebody on your app, you have to kind of connect your own wallet. So you're creating a new wallet. I would really advise, if you hit reward, to allow people who already have, MetaMask or Coinbase wallet or existing wallets with actual like money in them, to just have them connect their own wallet and just quickly send money. Because what ends up happening, because if you kind of gatekeep it to just, you have to fund your wallet on your platform, the issue that I notice is when I go to add funds on my wallet, I need a minimum of $30. So there's like constant roadblocks that I'm facing, right? I'm setting up my wallet and now I have the wallet just on your app. Okay, now I want to go pay a creator, but wait, I can't pay him like $1, $2. I have to fund it $30. Then there's constant like a lot of friction points that I would recommend your team to consider simplifying, and that could be in the ways of utilizing people's existing wallets already that have funds in them, right? So they don't have to set up their own wallet on your account, or they can even connect it, right? So they can just quickly fund it that way as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can even go think about even more radical things, right? Like the number one thing you want is just a bunch of people having content here and a bunch of people donating the money and things like that, right? Like if crypto ends up being, even with MetaMask, even with that, right? Like there's still a friction point there and you're not getting enough content. I think it's more important early on, right, to get all that content there, like from those people who might have never used crypto. It's too hard to like help them onboard onto crypto in addition to onboarding them on your app. Like just having them pay in like more conventional ways, like could be better, right? And then like over time, you kind of like force everyone into the path that you want and the way you want them to pay. But it might be something you have to compromise initially and like just get them to pay however for them, just so you can get people like building up here and like, yeah, saturating the app.
Oh, here's G.
Hey team.
How you doing?
How's it going? I have like a 5-minute break between dev calls. I thought I'd come say hi quickly.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
Thanks
just
for
to give you a quick update, we're kind of going over friction points in regards to setting up a wallet. If you guys would just kind of give him like your just kind of quick 20,000 foot pitch of what y'all just told us, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I think when I was using your app, one of the key things is you want to get creators paid, right? And with the wallet, one of the things I noticed is that I had to set up a temporary wallet on your app and then fund that specific wallet. But I actually have USDC in my MetaMask wallet as an example. So maybe there's a easier point, and when you don't need to set up your own wallet in your app, you can just connect to an existing wallet that has money. You can just reward it that way, right? Because one of the bigger friction points I noticed is after I set up my wallet on your app, I had to fund $30 minimum. So again, $30 is a lot of money. So that I can see like another taping off point. So is there a way to connect existing wallets that already have money on my app to pay people?
Yeah, it's a good question. What we kind of want to do now is that you can copy and just still send from your MetaMask or any external exchange into your wallet still. I don't think most of our users will know how to do that, but it's a valid point. So basically where we are, and we were never planning to go with MoonPay and with USDC. We wanted to do an INMO token on Polygon. With all the regulation and things happening in the States, that's a very risky move right now for us. So to try and make the answer short is that we went USDC route MoonPay so we can get tokenomics in, and then get ourselves registered to have an INMO token in the future on Polygon. So then the entire wallet will change. So it's kind of a first step into a much larger plan that we have in the future.
Interesting.
That makes sense.
And also in the beginning, we're going to reward people with tokens so they can use the token instead of having to fund the wallet with $30.
Yeah. Is it viable to potentially, like, for example, like let them pay with Venmo or whatever they want, and then like burn some of the tokens and reduce the supply, or some other tokenomic factor, right? Where like those tokens still get spent, but the user doesn't have to go through the action of like acquiring tokens, putting them in the wallet, spending it, right? Stuff like that too.
Well, to their point, I think what you can also do is if there's a $30 minimum, maybe you can just give everyone $30 to start, so then they can start getting used to just spreading the rewards around, because again, you want to educate the people. So if that is a friction point and it exists when you move over to other wallets, or just trying to get people to, like, if you can't just deposit $1 or whatever it is, small micro payments, then you may want to look into like having some money in there already for them to start spending. Maybe it's $5, maybe it's $10, whatever the minimum might be that you can kind of like pre-set up that wallet with for them so they can go and try it. Because then if you can just show, again, you want to educate the user of what is happening, and then you also want them to, like the creators, to be receiving those rewards too. So if nobody is going through the motion to start that cycle where people are giving and then receiving, like, awesome, the next thing you know, they post on social media, they're like, oh wow, I just got like 35 US dollars on, or coins on this app, this is great. And then people start talking about it and doing it. So you want to encourage them to do that. So I'd find a way to do that as well.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think what we have essentially here is very much a beta version of any sort of tokenomics money flow through the system. And we tend to build most of our features this way. We do the simplest version of it, get it in the user's hands, and then from there we kind of track and how people are using it. What are the issues? We get the issues that we guess beforehand. We get it wrong a lot of times, and so for us, it's important to test with the users first and see how they interact with the product, and then make it better, make it easier from there. So yes, 100%. Those are very valid points, and definitely things that's kind of on the list to see how we make it easier, better, and faster for the user.
That's cool.
Gee, and another thing that they mentioned is as someone comes on to the app, I think it would be very beneficial to both parties, us and the consumers. There needs to be like a tutorial almost that explains what they're seeing, what they're coming on to. That gives a quick overview of exactly when you're seeing the video, what do you do from there? What's the opportunity at hand?
Yeah, for sure. And that's, I think it's just a featured video from us that plays first when you land on the app that can explain it in 30 seconds. Could be cool. Definitely.
Yeah. That's a good idea. That came up as well. There's a couple features that we haven't gone over that I wanted to say a couple things about. Henry, can you click on the trophy, for example? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you go into the video, that's the top one. Just trying to remember exactly how.
The Geronimo one. This one.
When you click on view post, you're taken into a very constrained view where like you're only seeing that specific video. Like you can't just scroll through the entire leaderboard, which I thought was kind of like unintuitive. Like you're just like very much just like, oh, okay, I can just click view post, view that individual post, go back, and then back and forth. So fixing that up, I think helps the consumption process a lot, because I think a lot of people might just want to like look through all the different videos. And then the other thing was, I was just going to go into a completely different feature. Do you have more on what I just said, I guess, before I completely take
super valid. I think something we're worried about here is that you have this leaderboard and it actually puts those 10 people at the top front facing in the app right away, right? So it's the easiest post outside of the feed to find and to go vote on. So UX wise, we need to figure out a way of once you're at the top, you've got a very good chance of staying kind of in the top 10 because your post is being featured up there the whole time. So there's definitely some UX work that's needed there. And then if you think when we start adding more challenges to the screen, that changes the game as well. And so you need to make it intuitive, be able to discover other posts way easier. So totally agree with you.
Yeah, definitely. There's I think a lot of potential design exploration here of kind of like what you mentioned, right? Like encouraging more discovery. Also, like clicking view posts, like you have a tile where a lot of it is like not like information you have to have, right? And then like a very small kind of like call to action, right? Maybe something where like more of that leaderboard highlights the creator and the content that they made and make some of these like actions that you might want to do with it a lot easier could be good. And then I guess the other thing was in search. Like search is very kind of hard to use right now because there's no there's no suggestions, there's no autofill, there's nothing, right? Like I don't know what I can search here and what could show up, right? Oh, there's some suggestions.
Oh, okay.
So you're seeing users.
I just started typing stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
So I can search for users. What else can I search for? And what can I search for in here?
Right now, we're just on users. This is literally a month ago. There wasn't search. It's a bit of a very first version as well.
Yeah, and I think for like someone who has no context on the app, right? Like they don't know the users in this app. They are just here. They just discovered it, right? Like the most intuitive thing they're going to search for is content, not users, which I think, I know like you probably like want to add it later, but then the question is like, does it make sense to have search for users there and have it be so discoverable, right? Just things to think about, right?
Yeah, you want to make people's feeds very relevant to the stuff they watch, obviously, compared to other social channels. And so that is part of search discoverability, the way we tag things, which is quite a big build, as you guys will know, making it smart in that sense. So definitely something on the roadmap. How do you make this thing smart? How do you show localized versus content that people want and understand? So it's quite a big kind of plan that's being put together on making that feed as smart as possible. And that goes back to search, because once that mechanism is in place, then it's quite easy to search within that ecosystem.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I'll give you, in my opinion, because I've used TikTok and I'm kind of like, I'd say like a hypnotoad when it comes to it. Love that kind of stuff. People generally don't know what to search for, especially on TikTok. I mean, there is some, they might be able to know, especially if it's like trending, but for the most part, social media where people dive into is something that's recommended for you. They usually have like hashtags or like see more of this button, or like the heart is a really good indicator, right? So you might need to like figure out ways to surface like categorical topics within like the actual post. Because when you start to type in search, oftentimes people don't know what they're searching for, right? Could be, again, like content, users, and it creates more friction. So the question would be, is there any way that you can bring some of those like categories or continue that path while I'm viewing a video, right? So hashtags would be a really good like case for this.
Yeah. And suggesting hashtags.
Yeah, and really, like, if your primary user journey is to get likes on videos, post content, reward people, the search is really unnecessary at this point. Sharing is important because obviously you want to try to get people into the app, right, and doing stuff and saying, hey, I did this. But maybe it's not sharing the actual video itself, or maybe it's like, hey, vote for me or something like that. It's like the comments you probably don't need. I don't really see anyone commenting on anything in any of these videos. So commenting is probably something that's just not needed. I would just focus on like the core user journeys right now as you're trying to build it up. So that way there's less for them to fiddle with. The same thing with a leaderboard. Like I should be able to share out that I was first, if you want to like, and I also don't know what the benefit of being winner here. You said that Bo here won some money. So like, I think that maybe you can incorporate some language or art or something. I don't know, that's Sven's area, but like just to let them know what happened when I won, right? Or when that person won in here, like, oh, Bo got this, kind of reward or something like that to encourage more people like, oh, I can go do that. And then maybe I also want to share out and boast that I was first, something like that, because you want to bring people in here, but then you can take out like notifications. What am I getting notifications for?
It's going to be important for payments. Once you get rewarded, I think this is going to be a big part of showing your funds in and out. But I agree with you that leaderboard is where the action is. That's the thing that people screenshot and share. That's the stuff that they love. I wish I could show you our Figma, like what we have planned for that, showing what you'll win, etc. The discoverability, more challenges. So more challenges mean more leaderboards. So I think that's where the app is going to, get a lot of life going forward. I totally agree. So that should enhance the experience quite a bit. And I think that's probably where people are going to head to first in the future when they get into the app. That's where they're going to go find new things.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. If I was, we say this a lot on social media, right? If my friends are entering a contest, they're like, can you come vote for me? And I can see that leaderboard being almost that exact replica of what's happening on social media. Like if I know I'm second place and I can get paid, I want to share this to all my friends. So Henry brought up a really good point where it's like, could you allow these creators to like funnel that share or their friends to come on this easier, right? Making it a little bit more competitive. I love that.
Yeah. And as cool as Sven's video is here, I do think that the leaderboard is probably what's going to get people to come back more, right? Like this isn't a video that's necessarily gonna be something that they can't get on other platforms, but the leaderboard is truly unique. So I do think there's a lot of work here in terms of like redesigning this thing to be more compelling, but like maybe this is where you want to land people first once you've done that, right? Like maybe this is kind of like the home of the app versus like just dropping them on like content, right? And especially in the beginning, as you're trying to get more users, the content quality that users are generating might not be as high as you would ideally want, right? Like, because there's not enough people and you have to deal with what you have. So this could be a good place to kind of center around. But right now, like we were saying, like the call to action is very small. It's not obvious what you can do here. So I think maybe the most focus should be put onto making this leaderboard a lot more like of a consumption experience, an engaging experience.
You guys caught it now when it reset after the previous challenge, I see. But can you imagine on that leaderboard? So this is for one challenge, but if the users can create challenges as well, which is quite cool. So so you can create a challenge for your mates and people in your circles. How dynamic that space can become in the app could be quite cool. So it's not just INMO generated.
Yep. Yeah. And these are like private challenges, or are these challenges that are like public, but like you create it for your friends and anyone else can join?
Imagine you can do a public or a private one. It'd be quite cool. If you're an influencer and you've got a brand deal with Nike, you can come do a Nike challenge. We don't have to be involved. Like it could be that could become interesting.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this is really great. We are just about out of time. Does anyone have any last questions on the INMO side, or Max or Sven? You guys have any last bits of feedback?
Yeah, I've got some. One, I really appreciate all of your feedback and appreciate you guys taking the time to look over this. I guess just kind of in a general way, I don't want to say, hey, give us a scale 1 out of 10, because obviously this is a beta app and there's many things to put on here, and we love what you guys added, and I think that's something that we want to take to heart and put on there. But overall, I mean, is this something that you see as that can be compelling to really grow?
This is like an opinion. I think, I guess the caveat is everything is like anything with social and content and all that stuff. Like it's about user growth and scale, and it's a really cool experience if there's a lot of people here, and it's not if there's not a lot of people here. So there's the growth challenges. In terms of like the end point, like what the vision is, I'm 100% like think this could be amazing. I don't think there's anything like it right now, and I think the potential is there, but I think if I were thinking of like what's going on right now, it's like, well, I think the onboarding isn't quite tight enough yet. I think new users would have a hard time converting to full users yet. So I think there's some growing pains that you're going to experience, but I think overall you're on the right track.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's all going to be based off of how you grow it, how you develop the app, how you listen to user feedback, how you try different features out, and then your ability to iterate very quickly. You did mention earlier that you have some patents for some of the, I don't know if it's UX or technology or something behind this, but obviously risks that you would have if you didn't have those patents are, can one of the big social media companies, add these sorts of features very quickly to their apps, right? So it's important that you are finding your niche, iterating, building, getting it out there, and building that critical mass before they, come along and create something that's similar. Now, if they can't, that's great. Then that, hey, if this is a startup and you're looking to like set yourself up for acquisition, like the number of users, the how frequently they come back to, and any financial is going to be important for that, right? So I would say, definitely simplify the app to what the core value is and what you're trying to achieve, and just fight through all of the noise. I know it's going to be hard, like, oh, we need to have comments, we need to have this and that, but you don't really need it. Until the users are banging down your door, you don't need to do these things. And again, like proof here for the comments is not a single comment on here. You don't need it right now. Yeah. So I would just go through and evaluate those features and just kill them. Like you may not even need this notifications thing. I know it's for accepting and receiving payments, but it takes up real estate on the bottom and you already have a lot of buttons. So I would work on just what is the core thing. Same thing with like you have this little menu to report. Maybe if it's just one action, just make it like some sort of report button or put that somewhere else. Same thing with like the for you and following. That's not obvious. So I would just, again, go through it, simplify it, make sure that you are paying attention to what the core journeys that you want to achieve are, to then get the users to repeat those actions every day. And then that will allow you to grow and then learn.
Good feedback.
I think my 2 cents would be like, I can get behind the app. Like creators need to get paid, right? And they need to get valued in a way that is not just on eyeballs. So I can get behind the value prop. I think one of the interesting things that you're going to have to navigate, and a lot of crypto companies have to navigate, is the perception that crypto is not a scam. Unfortunately, with what's going on in the world right now and with crypto, a lot of people are tying crypto to like scamming and really negative perceptions. So I think that's going to be the interesting thing or challenge for you, is like, how do we navigate in the current economics that knowing crypto has kind of a bad, rep right now. It was really great a couple of years ago, but a lot of people are really hesitant with any product that uses crypto. So I think that will be like the biggest challenge for you. The value prop is definitely there, right? Like paying creators, but because it's tied to crypto, it's going to be a little challenging right now.
Yeah. That's why I think, right, like as you keep things really simple, it's like, are you a platform that rewards creators and that does crypto, or are you like a crypto company that has this app, right? Like there might be some hacks and compromises you can do. I know some other products have the crypto, but then like have a non-crypto path for users to utilize, and then like do some crypto things on the back end to make sure that all the token holders are receiving their reward and all that. And I think those are things also to consider.
Well, great.
All right.
Well,
good stuff, guys.
Thank you. Thank you all. Yeah, thank you all for joining us. I appreciate you volunteering. So thanks, Blake, Michelle, and Adelaide, and G. Thank you very much for joining us on one of our Studio.init teardowns. I'm Henry Kirk, and I'm joined with Sven and Max. So thank you again for watching, everyone, and stay tuned for another teardown that we'll be posting soon. So have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.